Hi, my name's Chris from IELTS Daily and welcome to this line graph video where we'll be looking at a model answer. I hope we can reach a band 7 with you today. So welcome to this writing task 1. We're going to be looking at a sample answer. We're going to be analysing our model answer and seeing if you can do something similar. Personally, I think that task 1 is as hard as, sometimes harder than task 2. Some of you may agree and some of you might not. We're going to be analysing one of the model answers which you can find on the IELTS Daily website, along with many other model answers for you to download for free. It really is the best place for you to prepare for IELTS. Today's model answer is looking at a line graph, and I think you will agree that this one is quite complex. Some of you may say, "What?" I want to break this down and make it as easy as possible for you. Shall we start? Okay. Before we do start, let me just tell you about IELTS Daily website, which you can see here. You will find it at IELTS-daily.com. You will find example line graphs with lots of other examples such as bar charts, processes, tables, maps, floor plans, pie charts, and even essays. So let's think about our writing structure. It's very important that for every writing task, for task 1 and for task 2, every piece of writing needs to have a slightly different structure. Yes, that's right, you should not learn any templates from the internet. Your job is to write a report or a summary. So, as we say in English, do not try to fit a square block into a circular hole. That means don't use a template because it often won't work. Right, let's go back to our structure. Every academic task needs to have an introduction and an overview. Many people do not fully understand the overview, so I'll talk about that shortly. But I should say that if you do not have a clear overview, you cannot score a band 7. Then you need to have your main body paragraphs in your writing. However, it is extremely important that your main body paragraphs are organised logically, and the examiner must be able to quickly understand why you have written this paragraph. One of the main problems I see is that students write confusing paragraphs with information organised very badly. In my example, I actually have 3 body paragraphs. Here's number 2 and here's number 3. We're going to look in detail now how I've organised these paragraphs, and you can see if you have the same organisation. Let's take another look at our visual data, or our graph. We should always ask ourselves the following 2 questions. Number 1, what are we looking at? And number 2, what are the trends? What are the main differences? What are the stages? Now, it's no good just to say things like upward trend or decreasing trend. You have to put context into the writing. Here I can see 7 countries. The first obvious thing to me is that 3 countries, the US, Canada and the UK, all have started high and finished high. I admit that within each country there was a small amount of variation. For example, Canada did not increase as much as US, but as a general trend, the people in these 3 countries ate a lot of meat. The second thing that I notice is that there are 2 countries, Brazil and China, which have seen a pretty significant increase in the amount of meat people ate. Remember, we always say an increase in. Finally, there are 2 countries which saw a fairly constant level of meat consumption. These countries are Kenya and India. Again, the science here is not perfect because I can see that Kenya's consumption has decreased very slightly. Every writing task that you do involves finding the trends and organising your paragraphs. So, it's time to look at the writing in detail. As I said, we need to have an introduction and an overview. An overview is a summary of the main trends in graphs. the main differences in maps and floor plans, and the main stages in processes. Here's my example. The line graph provides information on the amount of meat eaten in 7 countries between 1961 and 2013. So this is basically a paraphrasing of the title. Then I need to have an overview. Every task needs to have an overview, and this one's a bit more difficult because we have so many lines. My overview says, meat consumption per person varies globally from country to country, and the amount of meat people ate changed considerably over the period 1961 to 2013. Here's my first main body paragraph. I've grouped the information into countries which saw or witnessed an increase in meat consumption. The majority of countries witnessed a growth in meat intake, with Brazil and China seeing the greatest increases. China began the period with low meat consumption levels, almost 0 kilograms, but increased and ended in 2013 at over 60 kilograms per person. Brazil started slightly higher at 25 kilograms, but increased even more substantially to almost 100 kilograms. My second main body paragraph groups information with countries with high meat consumption. Do you remember the 3 countries at the top? UK, USA and Canada all have populations which have historically eaten comparatively high levels of meat. The USA remained the top meat-consuming country throughout the period, but it is noticeable that since 2000, all 3 of these developed countries saw a decline in meat consumption. You can see that in the graph. From about 2010, those 3 countries saw a decline. Main body paragraph 3 lists the countries which had low levels of meat consumption. There were 2 countries, Kenya and India, which did not follow a similar trend. India's meat consumption remained constant over the period, with most people eating very little meat, less than 10 kilograms. Kenya's meat consumption declined slightly from 20 kilograms to around 15 kilograms. And that's it. It seems quite easy, but in actual fact, I think it's quite a difficult task. Here's a useful checklist for you. Number 1. Do I know what I am writing about? Do I really understand the graph? Is my work well organized into clear, logical paragraphs? Have I made accurate statements? Really, have I not mixed up any information? Next, is it easy to read with not too many lists of data? I see this a lot with students. They list a lot of information and it becomes very confusing. Finally, have I checked the grammar? For example, in this case, everything was in the past because it finished in 2013, so your language should mostly be in the past. What do I want you to do now? Well, I want you to download the model answer and study it. You can find it on the IELTS Daily, IELTS-daily.com website, and then I want you to write your own answer and post it in the comments so that I can read it and give you a score. I'd like you to like and share this video, and finally come along and join us on Facebook, IELTS Daily Course, where you'll find daily practice material. Remember, stay safe and study hard. My name is Chris from IELTS Daily. Keep supporting us and thanks for your time.